everyone. Welcome to the Women's Revolution. I'm Davina, and we have
Carla.
and we are missing our Gita. So this is our What's in the Room episode where we just come on. So we've literally just come on. We haven't really spoken about anything yet, apart from a new platform that we're using. We're trying out Riverside, and we've just kind of found out that Gita can't seem to work Riverside on her laptop, so she's not in our session, in our episode today. So that's what's in the room right now, like right this second. And we decided to do these What's in the Rooms, and we're doing them every, I'm not sure if it's every 4 to 6 weeks or something, but really to just show what it looks like when women get together and are open to just talk about whatever is happening for them at this moment. There's no script. It's not written. It really is just how we feel at this moment, at this time. And
Yeah.
we can open it up. Who wants to start? What's happening?
Well, we don't do the grounding part.
Do we still do it?
Well, I don't know. I always like it, so I'm just asking.
I don't know either. I couldn't remember if we do it on a What's in the Room. I didn't know. We normally do a grounding on every episode. But I thought we didn't do it on What's in the Room, but we can.
I don't remember either. Anyway.
Let's do one. So we do a short grounding, which kind of gets us to land in the space so that we feel good. So I will do it like a very short one now. And if it feels good and safe to do so, you can lower your gaze or close your eyes. And I always like to do just like a scan of the body. So we could start at the feet. You could like maybe wiggle your toes, maybe scrunch your feet if they're on the floor. Just kind of feeling them, that they're there. Your ankles, you could also kind of wiggle them around if you wanted to feel them there. And then you can go up into your knees. You might want to wiggle them too. Just getting really connected and present with the body. Up into your thighs. And then up into your hips. If you're in a chair, you may want to do a little wiggle. And then up to your stomach. Try and release it if it's tense, if you're holding in. You could do it like a deep breath in and out, and then just release the stomach. Up into your chest, up to your shoulders and your neck. You could kind of wiggle your shoulders and maybe move your neck side to side, back and forth, round in a circle. Up to your throat, to your jaw. Maybe you want to open it and close, wiggle it round. And think about your nose, good wiggle. Your eyes, your eyebrows, and the hair on your head. And just being present with your gorgeous body.
Thank you.
And it feels good, you can open your eyes. And if you want to have a
Thank
little
you.
stretch, you can. Okay. So, Carla, was you going to start?
Oh, me.
Oh, I just thought
Start. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. I can start. So what's happening currently? Let me see what word comes up to me. Exhaustion, I would say. I'm exhausted. It's been a very busy couple of weeks at work. And I feel that I'm missing out in other things. One of them is being my coaching business, of course, and I've been out of social media. So for I think a week and a half, so nothing, no posts, nothing. And it's interesting that we always have the fear of missing out, right? So I've been thinking a lot about, that's an interesting difference because I've been posting every day, I would say for the last 1 year and a half.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's been the first time that I said I don't care about social media. I just, I need to focus on other things,
Yeah.
my priorities, and I'm trying to sit with it and see how it feels. And at the beginning, what am I missing? Will I miss something? What is the impact? And then you hear people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't. You need to post every day, every day. Otherwise, the engagement will slow down and you will miss out." And I actually think, yeah, is it that really true? Hmm. So yeah, I'm just being more aware and making some choices as well. Being empowered to making some choices and making my own decisions and making my own um, you know, confirmations of, is it really true what other people say? Does it really have an impact? So that's where I am today. I'm really focusing on my priorities and actually doing things my own way. Trying not to have the FOMO, fear of missing out, especially on the social media part of my business, and see what that actually will really means to me from now on. And maybe I will not be so active on social media.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I was gonna say maybe you can't tell yet. I was gonna say, how does it feel not being on social media, but at the same time you've been busy with other
Yeah.
things. So,
But you know that it's a relief. I actually feel very, very good.
oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
That's interesting. So even
I
though
actually feel
the
good.
work is really busy, it feels
Yeah.
being off the social media.
Yeah. It doesn't, I don't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like to go and I still go to LinkedIn but much less, I would say. Um, and the fact that I don't have to post or think about what I need to post or create posts, actually feels very good. If I'm honest,
Yeah.
very, very good.
Yeah. I'm with you. I've also been, just because it's been busy, had about a week off social media. I did my first post yesterday, but I think after a week off, but I also didn't miss it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And just listening to Carla, you know, when you just like listen to somebody, but you're not just kind of listening with your head, but you're listening with your body. And I just literally could feel like a weight, you know, like my chest just open up, as you were saying, giving yourself permission to kind of take that pressure off.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm just kind of wondering, just taking that pressure off, how do you kind of experience yourself then?
Yeah, I would say more authentic.
Mm.
Is the first thing that comes to mind because I always have a thing with the social media and being always there and um, all the things that we hear that if you have a business you need to be there, you need to show up every day, you need to show who you are, you need to and I do agree it's important, right? Even myself, if I want to connect with someone or know more about them, I also like to see them and see who they are. I do feel though that social media and posting every day might not be the right way for me to do it. I rather be here, for example, in our podcast, and then post it on social media, and it will be on social media. You will see me there, of course, but it feels more authentic to me and more aligned with me, and people can still see me, know me. Um, but it feels more authentic than just putting a post with tips or all those things that people say you should do. Oh, you should put some tips. You should show your authority in the field. You should do this. You should do that. But that doesn't resonate with me at all. I prefer what we are doing, like a space like this, talking to people, sharing, for example, what's in the room, share about our experiences on different topics. Uh, and just being live, live recorded, wherever in these conversations, but it does feel more authentic to me.
Yeah.
And I do believe that authenticity has become a big part of my life more recently. And yeah, so yeah, I'm really enjoying the change.
Yeah. Do you think you
Really
could do
enjoying it.
more like lives on LinkedIn? Because that feels better. point.
And I do. I have my own, well, I wouldn't call it a podcast, but a fireside chat where I talk to other women. So I do enjoy that as well.
Mm,
I think it's around the focus. We really need to focus and make our choices. And we talked about this in our strategy meeting last week. It's really the doing the things that give us joy, not following others just because they do it. Doing the things that really connect with us, our heart, that give us joy. And yeah, and I do, yeah, I don't like the social media thing of being there, posting every day.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. That's the reality.
Yeah. How about you,
Yeah,
Kelly?
just listening to Cal, actually, I think there's so many kind of beautiful comments in there, because you see authenticity just splattered everywhere now. Be authentic, but I think sometimes we don't. A lot of people, we don't know, what that is,
Yeah,
and until we understand what that feels like, what that feels like to us, and get to know what that is, it can really be almost like you're trying to chase something you don't even know what it is.
yeah,
So it's like listening to your words of how that feels. When I'm authentic, it felt like much more flow. It felt like kind of just in the present moment. It felt like real human connection. It kind of felt like an openness, and obviously all encapsulated with a sense of joy. And it's just so kind of interesting, until we get to know what that experience in ourselves, what does it feel like to be authentic? We can get so lost in not knowing what that is and trying to kind of learn what that is from other people, but it's such
yeah,
a kind of personal experience. So yeah, it was just like but it's really interesting because kind of listening is all these shoulds as well, isn't it? And that kind of dance and that balance between, listening to ourselves, but also, listening to people that maybe have some expertise and something, and not getting
yeah,
lost in that. But how do I balance it out for myself? But going back to my own experience, I was kind of sat down this morning, and it's just been a really busy week. And I'm kind of recognizing, being in my 40s, it's like you get to know yourself better, which is beautiful. There's other kind of expectation, there's other, you hold more, because if you've got
mm,
children, you've got all your children's needs, and your relationship, got your relationship needs, and then maybe certain family members that are maybe ill health, you got their needs, and all you end up in this kind of life kind of season. I'm feeling so like, oh, I'm holding so much. And this morning, I could feel like all these things that are outstanding that I needed to do. So I'm dumping this onto paper. So I put like a kind of like, for me, for kids, for family members, for relationship, for all these things I needed to do, just so I wasn't carrying it. It was just like splattered onto paper. And then rather get overwhelmed, I was like, if there's one thing I need to do today, what is it? And so that was my negotiable to myself, one thing. But they were always really interesting, and this is why I'm really advocate for personal check-ins.
yeah,
Otherwise, we can kind of get lost in this hamster in a wheel. Because as I was inviting myself to have a little space to kind of just slow down before we guys came together, I could feel a part of myself like still carrying a little bit like kind of like an anxious energy, because my list was so big. Even though, and I had to kind of check in myself, and I was like, is there a part of me already trying to fill that space? And then just noticing that, I was like, hey, hang on a minute now. I'm not valuing the downtime.
yeah,
I'm not allowing myself to value what's important for me in this moment, to allow myself to kind of chill out, just wind down, just slow the pace down a little bit, because I could feel, and it wasn't all of me, and that's why you say part of me, the part of me that was kind of a little bit anxious, like, oh no, well, you got 10 minutes now, you can get that one other done. And I think this is where we need to, kind of that check-in on myself was so important, and noticing what was
yeah,
happening in my body, when my body's speaking to my brain that was saying, yeah, go on to that other thing now. But so I could make a more conscious decision and not get lost in this kind of shoulds, and what we value. Because I don't really value ticking off a million list, to-do list. I value being well in getting things done. So it was really kind of interesting, just kind of noticing that in myself. And as we kind of then, you kind of invited that reconnection time of reconnection with the body, because often when we're busy, we get driven in our heads. I was really noticing then was like, wow, it was like this relationship with our bodies. And our bodies are always changing, but how much do we really listen to them?
Probably not enough.
And I think
Some
for
may not know how.
how much our bodies go through, like all these different changes in the body, but with those changes, how do we respond to our bodies? What we measure in our bodies to, how much do we value in our bodies, and the wisdom that they hold, telling us, come on now, you can slow down. You don't have to get lost in this rat race of life. You're allowed to slow down. And as we were kind of just checking in moment to moment, that is what actually was bubbling to my surface. Do I celebrate my bodies when actually I feel fit and I feel good? Do I meet it the same when maybe that actually, for me, I'm in a different part now, but when I was injured and I couldn't exercise as much, so I felt that my clothes would fit in the same, did I meet myself the same there? And that these all these things are like, just as simple as noticing. Noticing I need to slow down. This underneath that, there was all these different questions. How do we meet our bodies, with all these different seasons of life that we go through? Actually, yeah. And you
When
feel
you
it, yeah.
mentioned your rest as well, what came to me when you said, you need to do all these things, I was thinking, is it the same as want? So the thing that you did pick, like, I want to pick one thing that I need to do. Did you want to do it?
Yeah. Well, it was a priority. It was the one that actually was the most important. Everything else had, it wasn't kind of deadline, but this was a deadline. And if I didn't do it, the long-term impact was more complicated. So I was like, if I give myself the gift of this space to do that one thing that actually wasn't the most fun thing to do, but it actually was the most important thing to do. And then that allowed me to kind of like, that's where then I could go, okay, I am really satisfied just being able to do that one thing today.
Yeah, the thing that actually moves the needle.
Yeah.
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 I like that. And I did something similar this morning, and I selected three to do today. I have 3 things to do today outside of our podcast, because that one I said I was almost tempted to ask you guys, I'm not joining today, but I said no. That's my number one priority, because I know for me, doing this podcast, being with you, I don't know, I feel a lot of joy on it. So I had to do, I wouldn't miss it. But then I said, there's other 3 things I need to do by 5 p.m., end of the day, because those, again, are priorities and very important, affect other people. It's related to my work. And I know if I do them, I will be happy at the end of today and at the end of this week. So I have 3 things to do.
I like that as well. Something that you're going to do is going to make you happy at the end of the day that you're doing it. Even if the thing may not be the fun thing, it's going to make you feel satisfied.
Yeah. And I think it just takes, I think we can so get lost in unrealistic expectations, and then we end up carrying so many different things that actually we don't need to carry. We actually can literally put them down, kind of put them away. We don't have to carry that weight. But unless we have that grace of giving that time to ourselves to kind of slow down and understand, actually, why is there so much pressure I'm carrying? Because often when we kind of make it, kind of come with a place of curiosity, then we can actually see, actually, I don't have to be carrying a huge portion of this. That can be parked over there. That can just go away. It's organized over there. I don't need to touch it. And that I can come back to actually just prioritizing actually what is I'm able to do. That also then allows me to feel, actually, I'm happy with that. I don't have to get lost in the craziness of
trying to do
you know,
everything.
to-do list just grow anyway. So, you know, just pick what's most important, and then go from there.
Or ask for help, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm reading a book. I don't know if you read it. The name is Ask. It's Ask, and they gave the author shares the story of a woman that she was married, and both her and her husband were studying, so they were doing a master's that dedicate. So they had a lot of time in their masters. But when she married, he was doing the masters. She had more time, so she did all the house, chores, everything, the shopping, cleaning, whatever, everything. Then she started to do the masters and she continued. So he was focusing on the masters. He was having great grades and having amazing results. She was doing the same masters, but she was also responsible for the other work. And her scores were low, so she was getting exhausted, burned out. She actually had a depression, so she had um, to stop. She also had an accident and she was injured, which happened that she couldn't do the home chores, so he had to do it, but she could still study. So basically, she was forced
Yeah.
to switch
Just
the
which
roles.
yeah.
And then he realized, oh my God, how could you do all this? And I was just studying and you could do everything. So when he was doing everything, his scores reduced. She was again being able to got up to date to the studies and got amazing grades. And they then together actually had a conversation and said, let's see what we can do to help each other. So they basically, whatever, created an arrangement where they both helped and they combined their lives in a way that worked for both of them. But she never thought about asking him.
Yeah.
She assumed, oh, I just did it, so I'll always continue to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so
Amazing.
interesting because we learned, and we learned to adapt. So if you've learned maybe from earlier life or early life that actually my needs are not important, then that often will show up in intimate relationships.
Yeah.
Actually, my needs are not important. You're more important than me. I got to cater for your needs. So then that manifests into I won't ask for help because my needs are not important anyway. So unless you have that curiosity, what actually pattern is kind of create in your life, then you can't then meet it to create the change that is needed. That's what kind of surfaced for me as you kind of talk that through.
I think I don't know if she mentioned it in the book, but if she wanted to do all of the housework and stuff as well.
She didn't want to. I think it was assumed from the story that she shared. It's because how it started was that she had more time. So she started to do it because he was busier than her at the beginning. So she started to do it, right? To help and to support because she had more availability. But when she joined the same masters and basically became as busy in that side of their lives, she just continued, right? It was so normal that she assumed that she would need to continue to do it. And she didn't even think about asking for help until something happened. So the burnout, then an accident, that she couldn't actually physically do it. And he had to do it. That's when, and it was actually him that came up with, how can you do it? How can you do this?
Yeah.
Good book.
Yeah. It's really interesting, isn't it? And when you can give so much, isn't it? When you kind of spread yourself so thin, what that really illustrates, it's not like anything to do with competence, but it's actually when we spread our things too thin, and in turn something normally will happen to create that slowing down.
Yeah.
because maybe we haven't been able to kind of reconnect, to kind of listen how our bodies are crying out for it, and I've been there.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was quite a long podcast, but there was a certain segment that was like, wow. I know you listen to something and go, wow, that's so powerful. And was a guy that, kind of, lived life, and he was always seeking stuff, always seeking growth, seeking. And actually in this seeking, he got absolutely exhausted. Just seeking. Oh, I need to grow, I need to kind of evolve, and I need to do all this. So he went on this kind of vision, but through this constant seeking, that actually he just felt he was suffering. And then he took a pause. He was just so tired. He was in India, and he was kind of sitting outside this kind of temple, and he just heard this voice, and this voice just completely like captured him. And he didn't notice at first, because he was so captivated with the voice. He didn't even notice that this guy was blind, and he actually didn't have arms, and he was playing this musical instrument like a drum with his feet. And he ended up communicating with this guy with somebody he met with, like a translator, because he didn't speak English. And what he said, sometimes life doesn't give us, what we want, but we can always give to life. So he didn't let his kind of circumstances kind of like disempower him, or like not get the beauty and the grace of life. He just allowed to go, but I can still, even with my difficulties, I can kind of give to life. And the reason why I say, with all these stories we said, sometimes when we wear ourselves thin just chasing, we can't give our fullness to life. We can't give whatever we want to do. We can't give to it in the way that we could if we kind of allowed ourselves to kind of give ourselves really the grace in going, I don't have to do it all myself. I don't have to do it all. I don't have to do it all now. There's no rush.
Yeah.
Like I'm quite visual, because as I can see, I'm like, wow. To me, that was just like, wow. Yeah.
Amazing. We're already at time. It was like very quick. Like a really quick podcast.
We could continue for ages, hours,
we could keep them
chatting.
But, we'll be back in, I was going to say in 2 weeks' time. I always get confused with the bi-weekly and the...
It's 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks' time. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with our next topic, and hopefully, I was going to say all four of us.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think we should be.
I think so.
I also throw an invitation out for anyone who watching this. Like, as we kind of sharing what's in the room for us, allow yourself to kind of, maybe something we said, maybe it's just with the check-in that Davina beautifully led us through. Just allow yourself to kind of have the lean into what is kind of in the room for you as you kind of come in the room with us. And that will allow you to kind of just really get, become much more self-aware, be much more curious with yourself, and like meet yourself with grace as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly. Lovely. Like, subscribe, follow, and share the episode. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, everyone. Bye.